Welcome everyone to episode 51 of Missing Pieces. If this is your first time watching or listening, you're in for a real treat because this is a special episode. This episode is special because it's not just about me, but it's mostly going to be about you as the viewer. In fact, last week I put out I don't want to say I was begging, I'm going to say more like a plea for you guys to give me some viewer feedback on some of the topics that I've been discussing that week and the prior week. So last week I discussed kindergarten and starting school, remote learning, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that and what your experience is with that, whether you're a student or a parent. And then the weeks prior to that, I asked a few questions that I was hoping you guys would be able to answer for me, and that was, what's one thing that can make your life easier? And the other question is, just a small one, what is your life goal? And I was hoping to hear back from you guys, and did I ever? There was about 150 comments that I got on last week's episode, and I read through all of them, and I thought in today's episode, what I would do is start this off just by doing my regular thing where I talk about this last week, because I don't want to get that lost in the mix, because some very real things happened, and my feelings need to get out there. But after that, this is where it's going to become, I think, a really great episode, and that's going to be where I read your guys' comments. So we're going to kind of change the format up a little bit. I'm going to bring up on the screen your comments, some of the best ones that I could feature, because I only have so many time, but I think there's like 50 of them or more that I'm going to be featuring, and I'd like to just read those comments so you guys can hear more about life of other people rather than just myself, because I would think after 50 episodes you probably already know everything about me. So this is going to be like a community episode, and I'm just like really stoked to do this, and I'm excited that you're here. I also think that this may end up becoming our longest episode we've ever done, so for you guys that like the longer stuff and you have a lot of things to get done, whether you're multitasking or if you're just chilling out listening to this, it should keep you busy for a bit. So on that, let's jump into this week's episode, and you guys know we always have to start this off the same way, which is our Patreon thank you. And this week, the Patreon thank you goes out to Anne. Anne, thank you so much for joining us there. Huge help. If anybody else wants to join us on Patreon, the link is down below as always. Also, these episodes are brought to you interruption-free on YouTube thanks to our patrons. I don't put any ads in the middle of these videos. You might see one before, but I don't like breaking this up with ads. So thank you, Anne, for making that possible. And on that, let's get into this week, which was week 2 of remote learning kindergarten. You guys, I think many of you guys are back to school now as well, whether you're, again, a parent or a kid. School has probably begun for you, and there's a chance maybe you're doing a hybrid system like our school's doing, where you're there a few days, you're home a few days. Maybe you're not there at all. Maybe you're there every day wearing masks. Maybe not. I don't know. But our second week is remote learning, just like before, and I'm really not loving it so much. I think I talked about this a little bit last week, where we are sitting in on live lessons each week, or each day actually, and the schedule is kind of broken up, so it's kind of demanding of our entire day. Like from morning to early afternoon, we have these 3 blocks of time that we need to be there. And I'm really considering, and I'm like 95% sure that I'm not going to do that anymore, because the teacher's now recording the lessons and they're available to watch. So what I'm thinking that we're going to do, and there's going to be a few reasons for this. I think what we're going to do is, say Monday, tomorrow's Monday, for example, she's going to do all the lessons live with the kids, and then they're going to be recorded. And then what we're going to do is get up like Tuesday morning and do kind of what I was hoping to do, which is like 7 o'clock in the morning, just crank out the lessons we need to do, because we're up pretty early. Do the lessons, do the assignments, submit them in, and have the rest of the day for whatever adventures and things that we want to do. And the reason I want to do this again is because the time that they're doing this at, it makes a lot of sense if you're home all day and you're like, well, I don't want to do everything in the first hour or 2 hours. Let's kind of like break this down, have some breaks, have some lunch. But for Clark and I, he's blasting through this stuff, which is another thing. The way the teacher is teaching is very slow paced, and Clark is, where she's on the second problem in math, he's on the second page in math. So we're kind of sitting there idly waiting for her to kind of progress, and she has to have all the kids hold up their work, and she has to make sure everybody's doing it. And this is no fault of the teacher, because she is, I couldn't imagine trying to teach kindergarten remote like this, where you're trying to make sure the kids are doing it. You're trying to see if there's any kids that aren't. Kids are falling behind. It's very hard to do that, not only in real life, I imagine, as a teacher, but to try to have them hold it up on camera so you can see it through a Chromebook. Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine. So I feel like it'd be more efficient for us, though, from a personal standpoint for us just to do the recorded lessons. And even with those, there's drawbacks because it's not like a clean lesson where she records ahead of time. It's the actual live lesson. So you have lots of these little kids that are going off mute and yelling. And I heard Sonic the Hedgehog playing at one point, like someone was playing the game, or maybe your brother was playing it. And some of these kids, I honestly feel bad for, because the one kid went off mute for whatever reason. And I heard like a baby crying in the background and the phone was ringing. And I'm like, this little dude's trying to learn how to do kindergarten here. And there's all these distractions and things happening. He's trying to learn math. It's like, how's he doing it? And I really do feel like it'd be much better if all these kids were in school. But we're kind of in a spot right now where you do have that option for at least 2 days a week. But those other 3 days, you're home and you're doing what Clark and I are doing. So I don't know. I'm not feeling the whole remote thing. I love the fact that Clark and I are together during the day, but the actual learning part of it, it doesn't take that long. And I think maybe doing the recorded lessons would be more ideal for us. At least for now, we could at least give it a shot. And I talked to Mrs. Brickitect about it, and she's like, yeah, I don't understand why you're doing the live things. But I kind of like the idea of Clark, even though he's not actively communicating with the kids, because everyone's supposed to be on mute. I like the fact that he's there. The teacher's kind of interacting in real time with him. He can hold something up. She can say, like, good job, Clark. As silly as that seems, I feel like that's kind of important to feel like you're a part of something. Otherwise, it's just like watching a YouTube video, which is essentially what it is. And I don't know if that's the way that we should do it, but I don't know. This is all new to everybody, I think, and we're all trying to figure out ways to get through it. I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking about it. I saw in the comments from last week, and we'll be reading those. Some people are good with it. Some people really are against it, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see people's perspectives. Like, some kids are happy to be back in school. Some are just like, I can't do this remote thing. But like I said, we're kind of there, and we just got to make the best of it, I suppose, and find what works for us. So that is kind of my plan for this week. We might do one more day. Maybe tomorrow we'll do like live, but I think maybe we'll just scrap that and go right to the recorded lessons. So, school. But I am enjoying. Let's go on to a positive part of this. I am thoroughly enjoying having these days with Clark, man, because it's given me like a renaissance on Greg's World, as I talked about before, where I've committed to documenting each day of school with him. And I'm not just showing the things that he's learning, which I think is really cool, because it's like, wouldn't it be kind of neat to find out the day that you learned how to add 1 + 1 or what the number 6 is or whatever? I think that'd be cool to have on record, but I'm trying to document what it's like to be a remote learning kindergartner, as well as a dad. Like, this is both of our perspectives, along with like the story of each day or our adventure or whatever thing that we do, whether it's a big adventure or just a very small one. I find that every day, and I try to say this on Greg's World because I think people need to know this, every day is special. Even if you feel like it's just another Tuesday, that day is special. And if you kept like a journal or a diary, or you recorded that one thing each day, which is what I'm trying to do, that makes that day interesting, I think it could be really fascinating. And I'm planning to make, I guess, 180 videos between now and June of next year, because that's how many school days there are, documenting what this life is like. And I've been loving it to have these things, because I now have, I guess, 8 videos recorded, 4 of which are out. They run 1 week behind if you're curious. So every Monday, you're going to see Last Monday. And every Tuesday, you'll see Last Tuesday. It gives me time to edit over the weekend and such. But speaking of editing, that is probably the biggest downside of doing these videos, is that they're turning out to be a lot longer than I anticipated. In fact, I think Friday's video was 27 minutes long. In fact, I know that because I had to re-upload Friday's video. I made a joke in that video. If you guys go back to the brickitect mail time video from last week, not this past Saturday, but the previous Saturday, we got some Harry Potter, what was it, cauldron butterscotch beer in there. And it wasn't actually beer, it's like a cream soda. And I made that joke on brickitect. It was all good, right? It was kind of just a joke. On Greg's World, I made that joke. And then I think what got me snagged on this was later in the episode, we were having pizza on this table that we built together. And that was the story of that day. We built this outdoor patio furniture, and we were putting it outside and having lunch there. And I asked Clark, I said, hey, do you want me to go grab your beer? As a joke, because I already revealed earlier in the episode that it was cream soda. So I made a joke, which I should probably stop doing. My jokes, they just fall flat no matter what I do. I said, do you want me to grab your beer? And he said, yes. And I said, I brought it to him or whatever. And I think, I can't say for certain because they don't give you enough detail, but one Saturday morning I noticed that my video had been flagged. And it was not monetizable and been flagged for inappropriate actions, which I think was that, and a human had reviewed it and confirmed that, yeah, you can't do that. So I'm assuming that they probably didn't watch the whole video. That little segment there got flagged, and I'm like, I cringe on the inside because I just picture this reviewer sitting down and watching this 10-second clip of me asking my 5-year-old son if he wants a beer and then putting it on the table. And they're probably just thinking like, what in the world is this guy doing? And I'm just like, oh God, you gotta see the whole thing to get the context. And unfortunately, with the artificial intelligence that YouTube employs in figuring out what's right and wrong in these videos, as well as just seeing a manual review of that little clip, I can see how that'd be bad. So I'm gonna be very careful not to include any kind of jokes like that or whatever. Like, it really was unnecessary. So what I ended up doing Saturday morning, I ended up getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I just couldn't get back to sleep. I ended up cutting out like maybe 30 seconds of footage all about the beer. I'm probably going to get demonetized in this video. We're talking about cream soda, YouTube reviewer, if you're watching this. Not that it really matters, because I think Missing Pieces makes like 63 cents a week, but it's not why I do it. I don't do it about the money. I'm going to just probably not do that in the future. That's maybe in poor taste too. And I also think like what's funny to me may not be funny to other people, because I know that there's parents watching these videos with their kids, probably, maybe they're kindergartners, and they see me talking about beer and giving it to Clark, and that could lead to a whole mess with those families. So let's tone that down a bit. We'll keep it. I don't even want to say PG. It's probably more like G than anything. Although Clark can get a little PG-13 sometimes, maybe even R. So I just thought I would share that little story with you. I know most of you guys aren't YouTubers, but it's nice, I think, to know how the YouTube system works and to know maybe why certain things happen. And that's why that happened. And that's why I think YouTube's going to get kind of more watered down as time goes by, because people aren't going to put their edgy stuff out there. They're just going to play it calm and play it safe. And I can't blame them for that, because I'm kind of in that boat too. So that's kind of what's been going on with my week. Just recording tons of video, editing tons of video, putting our stories out to the world. It's become, I think, my primary goal is to create those stories. And unfortunately for you guys here in brickitect, this channel has kind of gone on the back burner a little bit. And I think that's fair, because I don't know of anybody out there that single-handedly uploads pretty much daily content on 2 channels in the way that I do, where it's not just like a one-take thing that you throw out there. So unfortunately Friday I was just so busy with editing and getting this stuff together that I couldn't put a video out, even though I had a video kind of planned for brickitect. It wasn't in the cards, and I hope you guys understand that. I know most of you guys really are just want the best thing for us, and if that means making 1 video a week or 15 videos a week, whatever works for us, I know that's how you guys feel, but I always do feel bad that because I get letters from these kids and they're like, I love your videos every day and I look forward to them, and then to not have one out. But you didn't have a Lego video, but you did have a 27-minute vlog of me giving my 5-year-old cream soda. So I think that kind of makes up for it. And I think maybe that's more interesting to watch, right? Like, what's more interesting? Seeing me, don't answer this, seeing me build a random Lego set, or seeing what our entire day looks like? I don't know. Maybe it depends on what you're interested in, but the way that I'm looking at it right now is that I can make Lego videos for the rest of my life, right? Like, I can upload videos of Lego things for all eternity. This year in particular, with Clark being home with me, this is the last year as far as I know, unless first grade turns into the same thing. But I don't think it'll have the same impact that this year has. So this is my thing that I'm focused on. And I'm really proud of what's coming out of there. I think some of my best work has been uploaded in the last few days in terms of editing, storytelling, just putting it out there, I think is working really well. And I feel like their feedback on it, even though I don't have comments on that channel, I feel like just seeing the views and the people that seem to be interested in it has really been worth it too. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I wanted to just kind of put this out here while we're on the topic of schooling and such. Outside of that, in the same topic of video making, I've been doing my best to support Clarkman's vlogging. If you guys probably know that he's now recording his own vlogs using my GoPro. And I attempted last weekend to start editing some of his content down, and I'm just finding that it's way too much for me to even start narrowing down. Like, I put out like 1 video, and then I have another one edited, but like out of the the videos that he made from August, it was probably like 45 minutes of content that I would maybe turn into like, I don't know, 15 minutes of video for YouTube. And it's tough to get through all that. So I've decided what I'm going to do, and I talked about this a little bit before. I'm going to support Clark's vlogging, but I'm going to do that not by uploading his videos, but by just providing him with the resources to continue making the videos. So I've been buying these 256 gigabyte micro SD cards for the GoPro. And what I'm going to do is, we just got a new one because he filled up the other card, but I'm going to put that in there for him, let him go ahead and record as much as he wants, as long as he wants, as little as he wants, anytime that he wants, he can make videos on. And what I'm going to do is when that memory card gets full, I'm going to take it, put it in a protective case, and I'm going to put it in our fireproof box, and I'm going to put another one in there. Another one. And just let him keep doing that. And then someday, I'm either going to maybe upload the videos like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or I'm just going to give Clark all the footage, and he can go through it at his leisure and look back on what he was doing when he was 5 years old. I mean, a part of me is kind of interested in making one of these videos each week, like on a Saturday, showing like a day in Clark's life, but with all the other editing and all the other obligations I have, I can't keep up with what he's doing because he records a lot. And a lot of this stuff is very similar, like, hey, I'm playing with Power Rangers and Transformers and trains. And now today I'm playing with Power Rangers, Transformers, and trains. The videos that I was editing, he must have went out and like talked to the chickens or went to his clubhouse thing probably 5 or 6 times in those. But I think it's fine. I just want to encourage him because he has like such a passion for this. Who knows where he got that from. But he just loves taking his camera and it's like talking to his fans, and he even talks to the people like it's a live stream. He's like, tell me what you guys are like. He'll ask questions and like expect a response, but it's all kind of pretend, and it's super cute. So I'm just gonna keep buying these micro SD cards. They're about $30 a piece. It gets some hours of footage, even at like, I'm recording like 2.7K, so it's good quality because I want this to last into the future. And who knows, maybe when Clark's a teenager, I'll upload a video from when Clark's 5 and show like what that world was like and where we were at. I think it's like a cool time capsule, and that's always been my goal with this channel and all these channels that I have, is to create this video time capsule to look back on someday to see what life was like at certain times, whether times were good or 2020. I'm just gonna use 2020 as a new word for bad, or when things aren't going good. Dude, that looks so 2020. We can start using that. But I just wanted to put that out there as well. Yesterday was kind of fun. I talked about my week with school. Yesterday was fun because it was Saturday. We took a day off from editing and pretty much anything, and we went to a flea market that's about an hour away from us or so. We go to it every year. You guys have probably seen the vlogs from when we gone there, and it was a good time. I went looking for Lego, which I found a little bit of. I'll make a video on that. In fact, it's kind of already started because I vlogged our experience, which you'll see next Saturday on Greg's World. Clark went looking for Power Rangers and Transformers. He had some success. I won't share what he got here because I think it'd be fun to keep it as a surprise. But we kind of just went for food and stuff as well, and just to kind of get out a little bit because we haven't lived any kind of normal life for the most part, or actually gone to do anything special in quite some time. And I'm somewhat regretting it with this. Hopefully this doesn't get too political, but if you get triggered by mask talk, and if that's something that you 100% don't believe in, you might want to just skip forward just a couple minutes here. But we went there. Did you leave? Hopefully you did. We went there, and I was expecting maybe like 50% of people to have masks on because it's a thing. I think most of us have become a part of the mask life, right? Even if we're reluctant to do so. You kind of realize that this may actually be beneficial and it's not a hoax. When we went there, I was expecting quite a few people to wear masks. We had our masks on, of course. It is outside, so there's that. I want to say about 5% of people had masks on. And I guess I should be clear that I won't say too much about any kind of political affiliations, but I'll paint the picture for you. You can probably guess where this is going. This is in the middle of a farm field, basically, and it's a tractor show and also flea market at the same time. The demographic there, probably average demographic, I'd say would be 50s white men and women with people kind of skewed on both ends of that. So I don't think I need to really say too much more about who was there, but the fact that no one was wearing masks, and even though it was outside, people were like pretty close. You're walking past people, you're walking behind people. I know some people were smoking cigarettes, which I think is super disrespectful to people. And then like you could, like the smoke would be blowing, and I was thinking like, you know, if I can smell this smoke, I can probably also be breathing in your COVID or your Chima. YouTube, don't flag me. This video is totally getting flagged. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to make this too political or whatever, but I'm not even going to say the next thing I was going to say. Should I? I'm just going to alienate people if I say what I was about to say. So I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to alienate anybody. But even if you don't believe that masks do anything, and if you don't believe that COVID even exists or whatever your situation is, just have some respect, because your mask is protecting other people. The mask I was wearing, it wasn't for me. It was so I'm not breathing my COVID on you, which I hope I don't have. But now that Cody's back in school, or Mrs. Brickitect, as she's known in some circles, and life is progressing beyond us just being pent up all summer, it's a possibility. And maybe yesterday wasn't worth the risk, but it was nice just having that little bit of an experience. And I know that's like, it seems selfish or whatever, but I guess it was a calculated risk and one that we took, and I hope that it doesn't come back to bite us. Now that I got you all depressed, let's talk about something that I accomplished this week that I'm excited about. I finished Band of Brothers finally. You guys know I've been watching on HBO Max, and I've been watching like an episode before I go to bed. They're like an hour plus long sometimes, so I usually would watch maybe one episode. Some nights I'd watch two. Some I'd watch 15 minutes and I'd fall asleep. So I finally got through that series. If anybody is on the fence about it, totally watch that series. It's about World War II, the Easy Company, and their exploits as paratroopers through Europe, all the way from like I think 1944 until the war ends, and it was so fascinating to watch. I was loving every episode of it, all 10 of them, and it's just so good. I don't know how old it is. It's an older series. But all of them are on there on HBO Max, and I highly recommend watching it. Speaking of HBO Max, I started watching another series on there that I discussed briefly, I think. Maybe it was on a live stream. It's called Raised by Wolves, directed by Ridley Scott, and it's about these androids that are trying to raise humans on like this new planet because they're facing religious persecution, and there's an ark and all these things. I watched the first episode. I'm not going to tell anything about it because there's like massive spoilers. But we watched one episode and I'm intrigued. So I'll report back to you on that. I think it's like a weekly thing where new episodes are coming out, but they do have a few episodes available currently. So that's what I'm watching. There's some movies that I want to watch as well, but I'm just kind of working through things and trying to find time to do such. The downside of movie watching for me is that so many movies I want to see are not appropriate for Clark. So then I need to find time to watch them at night. And this show certainly, Raised by Wolves, is not something you want to watch with kids. Don't even consider it, because we started watching it. We're like, whoa, we're waiting until bedtime for this. So that's kind of what I'm up to. And that was my week. That kind of went on. That went longer than I anticipated. This will 100% be, I think, the longest episode of Missing Pieces, because now I'm going to turn this over to you guys, and we're going to go to my computer where I'm going to read your comments from last week and the feedback, which was amazing. So I ask you to stick around for this. And if you have anything that you want to discuss from this episode or anything just in general, I'm very close to making a midweek episode of Missing Pieces that's just viewer feedback. I'm like super close, but the reason I don't do that is I worry that there may be a week where I have nothing to really discuss, because I'll be like, well, guys, it's week 17 of school and we're kind of doing the same thing and nothing new happened and I'll see you later. So the viewer feedback is very helpful for me to make these episodes, but in this week, for example, there's so much that it could be its own episode, but I'm just going to put it here at the end of this. We're probably going to go over an hour here, so sit back, enjoy, and we'll be right back with you here on the computer to What am I doing with my hands? We'll be right back here with you on the computer so we can read your feedback from last week. As we jump into this here, I just want to say a few things. Once again, these comments are related to last week's episode. This is the feedback from that, as well as the questions, what's one thing that can make your life easier, and what is your life goals? All of which are pretty big things. I'm going to do my best to read not only your names without butchering them and your comments without butchering them, but that being said, I'm not going to edit this in any way, hopefully, just to try to make this process a lot easier for me when I put this all together and try to get this episode out to you guys, which will be coming out as soon as this is done, actually. The first comment comes from Jack Allen, who says, one thing that would make my life easier would be a cure for celiac, which is a disease that prohibits me from eating gluten. I could eat anything without having to ask waitresses what's on their menu. I can eat. When I grow up, I'd like to be a psychologist, and I'm currently taking a class for that in high school. I think that's a very noble goal that you have. Maybe you should try to come up with a cure for celiac. Maybe you could be the person, and that'd be amazing. I think that would impact a lot of people, and I wish you the best of luck with everything you're trying to do, and good luck with living with that, because I imagine that'd be pretty tough. I couldn't live without my gluten. What is pizza crust? Oh my gosh. Next one comes from Texan Kakashi. says, my life goal is going to UT Austin and make my parents proud, and the second person that goes to college in my family and make them proud. I would also like to become an engineer. There you go. You can accomplish two things in one shot. I will say, if you're going to college just to make someone proud, though, try to do it for yourself. Try to do it because you want to, not for other people. And that's a good way to live your life, too. You don't want to do things just because other people think you should or want you to. You got to do something that you want to do. But if you want to be an engineer, I think you're on the right path. Next one comes from Osh Bricks YT, who says, something to make my life easier is if I was able to get a job. I know it's weird I want a job, but I need to get experience and money so I can climb up the towers of Lego. I like that. Yeah, be careful what you wish for. I went to get a job when I was 16, I believe. And at the time I was like, yeah, I got a job and I have money and all this stuff. And looking back on it, it's like it really wasn't as important as it needed to be. And I wish I would have maybe spent more time with my friends and having good times rather than working like Friday nights at the grocery store or whatever. But I understand like you wanting money, and I think it's cool that you're going to try to get a job to work towards that. Next up, we got Tracy, who is always a great commenter on here. Tracy says, I'm an elementary school aide. School is pretty similar to normal with just a handful of kids doing distance learning. I work with kindergarten and first grades. If you have any advice for me, throw it out there. She says, we have finished testing and are getting into routines. The masks have become part of school life. Reminders about wearing them right or putting them on when we come in from recess are as normal as keeping your hands to yourself and being respectful. The kids are mostly happy to be back in school with kids and teachers again. I have never seen kids so excited for a chance to learn. 2020 has given us some perspective on what is important. My goal is to finish my teaching degree, one more year to go. Something that would make my life easier is buying a house, which is my other goal. I am a single mom of 3 kids, so our tiny 2-bedroom apartment is small and feels constricting. More room and freedom to make our own would enrich our lives. Wow. That is the comment that I dream about right there. You covered everything, and I love to hear what it's like being on the other end of the school system. You're a teacher as opposed to a student, or me trying to teach a student. Oh, it's wild. But that's cool that you said kids have never been more excited for a chance to learn. They're just like, I'm out of the house finally. That's funny. Next one here comes, thank you for that, by the way, Tracy, as always, for your comments. Jedi Master Anakin Skywalker says, Greg, you saying to make videos that make you happy makes me worried. I have another channel based off a show, and I'm worried to show my voice so people would judge me based off of my age. And I know this isn't related to school or to the thing that makes you happy in life or your life goal or whatever, but this I felt like I really need to speak to because I always encourage people to make channels, and I don't think you should worry about what people are going to think of you. Just make the thing you want to make. You got to put that behind you, or you got to just push it to the side. I know it's hard, right? Like you're self-conscious, but if you just put that out there, people will find you, people will like you, and people will enjoy your content. Just do it for yourself. Don't worry about other people. And if you feel that strongly about it, make your first 10 videos on your channel and just make them unlisted. Just do it for yourself. And as you get more comfortable, you realize that it's not such a big deal. But I wish you luck, Jedi Master Anakin. Next one comes from Cinematic Art 88. It says, well, at the moment, my life goal is to become a full-time screenwriter, and since of this goal, I've been writing my own screenplays while listening to the podcast. Also, you sound like a teacher when complaining, calm yet about to explode on the inside. You're not wrong. Sometimes I feel like I'm exploding on the inside. I don't know if I'd ever make it as a teacher. I think teaching one kid is probably about my limit. But I would like to help shape the minds of the future, and I feel like this podcast is a little bit of that mixed in with just stories of my life, and anywhere I can be helpful, I'm happy to do that. I wish you luck on becoming a screenwriter, and I'm happy that my podcast can accompany you during that your goal, or trying to get to your goal. Becky has the next comment. She says, my friend is raising her grandsons. One is in kindergarten and one is in 9th grade. I'm her technical support. They have classes from 9 to 3:30. It sounds like a lot like your schedule. Luckily, she is retired and can be home all day. I can't imagine doing that kind of schedule with my 3 kids when they were in school plus working. What would make my life easier is hiring a gardener. I don't mind mowing, but all that trimming is difficult for me. My win of the week was helping my friend. Oh, we got a win of the week in there as well. Very nice, Becky. Good luck to you in doing what you're doing. It's tough to have a kindergartner and a 9th grader. You're at both ends of the spectrum, so I can just imagine what that's like and what you're going through, or your friend, I suppose. But helping your friend out and being there, I think they probably appreciate that more than they could ever express to you. Next one comes from Mediocrist. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He says, well, here it goes. I suppose I dodged the questions last week. Now he's referring to how I got all fired up because you guys didn't give me any feedback, and now I'm like pummeled here. He says, one thing that would make my life easier is a realistic time schedule. Now that I'm trying to balance remote school and creating content for my small YouTube channel, I have no problem writing out a schedule, but perhaps the motivation to follow is the real wish. I need the right energy at the right times, and that balance is what I hope to find. Yeah, I feel you. We're talking about finding balance. You have a special place in my heart if you're trying to do that. You'll get there. Just start small. Make yourself a little schedule. Be like, I'm going to go to bed at this time. I'm going to work on something from this time. Some people, that doesn't work at all. You just have to, freestyle it and see. So you could try both ways and see what supports your life and just go forward. Next one comes from Padawan Bricks. It says, one thing that can make my life better is to have all of my Lego sets I ever had sealed so I can build them and organize them better. And I thought it was fun to include this one because there's a huge spectrum of people that are watching this. So you have comments like Tracy, who's a teacher, and you have adults that are going through adult things. But then you have kids. Oh, I'm assuming you're a kid, but you have kids that are just like, my goal is to get a Lego set or to have my sets in boxes or organized. And I just think it's cool that so many different people watch this show, and I like to share these for that reason because it's everybody, contrary to what Lego believes. Anyways, next one is from Brick Connections. It says, I have a current goal of wanting to spend more time with God and reading my Bible. And again, that might offend some people as well, but I thought that's a good goal. If that's your goal, no matter what your goal is, you should be proud of it. Next one. This one's a little bit longer. This is from my friend Bricks in Lithuania. It says, there are my 2 answers for the 2 brickitects questions. This is like a writing essay that you had to do for school. It says, what is my life goal? My life goal is to live a life that I like. I'm 13 years old and I really want to become a dentist when I grow up, but I also want to become an engineer. And these are 2 completely different things, but I really like biology and stuff like that, but I also really like building stuff. I also have a dream, but I doubt it's going to happen. My absolute dream is to become a Lego designer. In fact, one of the reasons why I even created my Lego channel, I usually make videos about my mocks, was that if I ever got a job interview with Lego, I could show them what I can build. What could I add to my life to make it easier? Well, this is a really lame answer, but it would also add some money to my life. Well, like I said, I'm 13 years old and I have an Etsy store where I sell my custom Lego instructions for my Lego mock designs. And I'm trying to get some money so that I can invest and not just sell my custom instructions, but also my custom sets. I really like building Lego lightsaber hilt mocks, and that is what I build most, and I actually have made 3 custom lightsaber sets. I only sold 2, and I still made some money, but realized that it is a bit risky to sell actually sets because the parts are not cheap. But I still have a dream to do that, to someday do that. I think that's a fantastic dream, and you're already on the way. And I do agree with you. And selling the instructions is much easier because there's no shipping, and you can just put your ideas out there. People buy them. Money goes into your account. I think that's fantastic. But I imagine whichever route you take, and maybe this will change dozens of times before you actually grow up. Whether you want to be a dentist or an engineer or work at the Lego store, at least you have goals. At least you have dreams, and just start walking towards one of those, and you'll get there. But you got some time. I remember you being a little bit younger. You've got time to think about your life. You don't have to have everything all figured out. And I think that's going to come up here in one of these comments. Some Nerd 26 says, for the first question, that'll make my life easier is a schedule I commit to because I'm 3 weeks of being 15. And as a UK detector, I have to sit in very important exams this year. I need to make a schedule and commit myself to it. If I'm being honest, you've actually inspired me to do that. Wow. Scheduling is coming up. Balance is coming up, I'm noticing. For the second question, I'm nearly 15 and I don't want to get big or live high life. I just want a house, not too big and not too small, and have a job that I want, an accountant, and earn enough money to be able to be in a financial position where I could go to a Lego store the day of sets release and be able to buy all the sets I want and not have to worry about paying bills every month. Fantastic. You just want to have a normal life where you have enough money to pay for things and have some disposable income. That's very doable. Eli Does Cool Stuff, fantastic name, says, my life goal is to be a film director and make original movies that are good. And one thing that could make my life easier is a better room setup. Right now, it's kind of a mess. I will try this week to get better. I hope you did. My win in the week is that I got to go to Tenet in the movie theater 2 times this week. I recommend Tenet. Great movie. Thanks for the fun podcast episode. Cannot believe you're at 50. Wow. I want to see that movie. I don't want to go to the movie theater, though. That's the only thing. Sweeper says, I'm 16, in junior high school. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm butchering the sweeper. I'm sorry. I'm 16, a junior in high school, and I still don't know a thing about my future or where I want to take my future. I plan on going to college, but I have no idea what degree I want or what field I want to specialize in. I'm getting close to the SAT/ACT, and yet I'm still clueless. Any tips on how to figure this all out? And I'm so glad you asked that, because at 16, you don't have to have things figured out. Dude, there's people that are 50 and still don't know what they want to do when they grow up. Don't worry about it. Just do the rest of your schooling. Try to find things in your life that interest you. What's some of the things that captivate you? Some things that maybe you could be like, well, maybe I could take that as a line of work. Is there any type of jobs that you are interested in, like the people do? Anything is possible. Look at me, dude. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do in school. I somehow became interested in finance through a book that I read, and then I decided being a graphic designer, which is what I originally wanted to do, probably wasn't going to earn me money, so I went into business administration and finance, and then I got a job in finance, and I realized I wasn't happy there, and this YouTube thing was happening, and there I was at 30 some years old, and I'm making YouTube videos for a living. So it's not like you have to say at 18 or at 16 that I'm doing this thing and this is going to be my life, because that's not the case, not even close. Just enjoy school, spend time with your friends, and do the best you can. Go to college. You don't even have to figure it out when you go to college if that's your path. Just start doing your basic classes, but eventually you're going to have to make the decision, like, do I want to take this college path, or do I want to just try to go to get a job and get some experience? And maybe if you don't know what you want to do, maybe just going out and working some various jobs when you're 18 or 19, you can figure that out. You'd be like, hey, I really like working with people. Hey, I hate working with people. Hey, I like working indoors. Hey, I like working outdoors. Like, you could find all these things in your life, but experience is probably the thing that's going to get you there the quickest. And at 16, you're not expected to have any of those experiences. And I think this is a great topic for next week. If anybody wants to comment their thoughts on this, or maybe the life path that you've taken as an adult, if there's any adults watching, Lego, throw it out there, because I think that could be helpful to these younger kids that do feel this stress of being a teenager and thinking that they have to have everything figured out. Talk about how you didn't have everything figured out and your life somehow still worked out. Next one comes from the Cool Factor. Mike says, parenting, online learning, and work from home is the hardest mix of everyday things I've ever done in my life. Challenging, like glaring at 1,000 suns, but I'm happy I'm staying somewhat productive on top of all that. Hustle is on. I love that, Mike. You're kind of in the same boat with me, it sounds like. Trying to do YouTube and trying to do all this stuff. It's tough, but it's also really rewarding. At least that's what I've experienced. The next one comes from Michael. He says, one thing I would like to do is retrain to become a counselor to help others pick themselves up after a major event in their life that affects them in a negative way. Dang, that's cool. Dude, I'm super proud of you for wanting to do that. I like jobs where you can impact people in a positive way. In my last job, I felt like the people thought that I was doing that for them by giving them personal loans and stuff. And like, they're super happy with what I was doing, but I felt like I was called to do more than that in life. And I didn't truly believe in what I was doing. I felt like a bit of a hypocrite because I didn't believe in debt, and I was working so hard to get out of debt. And I hated to see these people do the opposite, but everybody is on their different path and has different goals, as we're seeing here. And sometimes you just have to learn those things and just do what you do well. But I think the greatest goal that you can have is try to have the biggest impact on the biggest number of people that you can. And that could be a path that you could have an incredible impact on a lot of people. Next one comes from Colin, who says, hey, Greg, first-time commenter, long-time listener. I feel like a radio show. I like this. This is fun. But my win of the week is that yesterday was my year anniversary of my motorcycle accident, and I'm still recovering from my injuries. But I'm doing so much better. I've been walking for 2 months now. My goal in life, I want to find a job I can support my future family without any financial issues. And lastly, something I'd like to buy to make my life easier is my own home. My Lego collection is taking up a lot of space in my room, so it'd be nice to have another room for that. Dude, first of all, congratulations on getting back on track physically. I know how hard that can be. I like your goal. Like, your goal is so attainable. I just want to find a job where I can support my family without financial issues. You can do that. And to have your own home, like those things all kind of fall in together. So I think you're on your path for success. Just focus on getting better and then let the other stuff fall into place. It's going to work out for you, Colin. Next one comes from Ben Wren 1001. Says, my goal is to be an actor, and my win of the week is that I made my first video in over a year. How about that? You're already an actor in your videos. Your goals are accomplished. Keep going. Don't go another year without making a video. Make another one this week. I want to hear back from you, Ben Wren. Next one's a little bit of a longer one from Bricklog. It says, hey, Greg, loving the podcast as always. My win of the week, I love this feedback. My win of the week is finally being able Finally, being proud of the videos I've been making. I've been uploading somewhat regularly for 3 to 4 months now, but I've never been totally happy with what I've been putting out. However, I've recorded videos of me building a few mocks to upload later while I'm at college, and I'm actually excited for people to see them. I even had a couple IRL friends that found my channel, and they tell me how much they like my mocks and was encouraging to hear. I'm proud of you for putting it out to your friends, unless they just randomly found it. To answer your question about adding something to my life to make it easier, I can actually give an example of something I just started doing. I bought a planner yesterday to keep track of my schedule and everything I need to remember. This could help these other guys out earlier. A planner. You guys are trying to get on a schedule. I don't think I've used an organizational system like this since elementary school, and I think it's going to make my days much more efficient and reduce the stress of forgetting something important. I think that's genius. Finally, my life goal is to not work 40 plus hours a week and be miserable 5 out of 7 days of the week. From what I can tell, my opinion on the school system in corporate America is pretty similar to yours. I feel like college is sucking out the individuality and creativity out of me to prepare me for a boring office job until I can retire. I won't comment on that. I've been trying to grow my Bricklink store to provide a source of income that grants me more free time than a full-time job. I'd say my ultimate goal would be to somehow make a living through Lego, whether it's a Bricklink seller or something else. Fantastic goals. Oh man, I feel like we're kindred spirits here. We could talk for days about this, and hopefully I'd like to see a follow-up comment from you if we could keep this conversation going, because I like what you're spitting there. I fully believe that you can honestly do whatever you want. As I'm dying here, you can even take a drink of water anytime you want during your very long viewer feedback section. But maybe instead of focusing on the negative, like my goal is to not work 40 hours a week and be miserable, talk more about the thing that doesn't make you miserable. Maybe that's Lego. And if you want to be a Bricklink seller, dude, look at all the people that are doing that. You could do it. Why can't you? That's a question to ask anybody out there. If you're talking about your goal, say, why can't I? Say, whatever your goal is, I want to be a full-time YouTuber. Why can't I? What's stopping you from doing anything? I always tell you guys that I'm nothing special. I don't deserve what I have here, but somehow I've lucked into this and I worked very hard to get there. That's probably the only thing that's stopping you is putting the effort in and the time and dedication. And you got to have passion if you're going to do it. Next one comes from Dion. It says, don't get me started on the education system. I threw that in there just for fun, but we won't get you started. I like that comment, though. Just Build It says, my one thing I could add to my life to make it easier would be to pay someone to sort all of my Lego. I feel your pain. I'm pretty much there as well. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it certainly would be nice, wouldn't it, to have somebody do that for you. Dion has another one here. Follow up. Dion says, howdy. I hope you and the family have a wonderful week. My win this week was watching my 10-month-old daughter learn to crawl. She's a little monster already. One thing that would make my life that much better would be having my surgery as soon as possible. It's very difficult being able to do everything one-handed. Take care. I'm noticing a couple physical things. When I see these, like the motorcycle accident from earlier and having surgery and being one-handed, you sometimes take things for granted, like the fact that you can walk normally or that you can use both hands. And I like seeing stuff like this, not because someone else is going through something tough, but when you're not, it's hard to remember that you're not, right? And now I'm like, hey, I can use both of my hands. Like, this is good. And I hope you think about that too. But Dion, good luck with that. Congrats on the daughter learning to crawl. Be careful. She's going to start walking soon, and then you're really going to be in trouble, though. Next one comes from Silver Lady 111. Congrats on 50th video. Time to put my thoughts out there with a little winky face. I agree on the education system. Kids need to be allowed to explore and find themselves and be encouraged to do this. We only need so many minions. We need strong, confident, and creative individuals. I picture this in like a Russian accent. We need strong, confident, and creative individuals. I don't know if that actually worked. And sadly, most education systems won't be successful in developing young people like this. My win of the week was having lots of time, lots of family time, and enjoying it. I need to rediscover my goals. I like that too. I need to rediscover my goals. My joys are Ninjago builds and playing with them with my 4-year-old grandson. Question for you. Are you going to build a city? It would be fantastic with yours and Clark's interest in the sets you have. Yeah, Classic Land. Clark has a Minecraft world, which is a city. I really love, my favorite thing you said there, actually a couple things. I love what you're talking about with the education system. We do need a few strong people, but I think those are the people that are going to break out of the system. They're going to be okay. They're going to probably not do well in school, but they're going to go on to success. I think overall, we probably do need just the minions. Like that's probably like overall, You need more employees than you need CEOs or whatever, or people that are going to start a business or come up with like the next iPhone or whatever they're going to do. And I understand why the system the way it is, but I do think we'd be much better off if we encourage people to be creative and to think outside of this is the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. Like when the teacher was telling Clark last week, I think this is probably the example you're referring to, where he had to draw a picture of himself, but he had to draw it in a certain way with it being realistic and whatnot. I don't understand why that's really necessary for a 5-year-old. Draw a picture of yourself, and if you think you look like a creeper, make yourself a creeper or a zombie or whatever. And if you want to have purple hair, you can have purple hair. I felt like when I was sitting there, that was the first nick I felt like that took away from Clark. And I was just thinking about all of the other times that he would be in school in the next 12 plus years, that those little nicks as they're chipping away from him. How many times does that need to happen before you lost everything? Think about these. Watch a 3-year-old someday. If you have the patience for it. Watch a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and the way that they play and the way they think, they're the most creative people you can imagine. And I feel like, unfortunately, the world kind of takes that away from you because you try to conform, and that's a lot of what school is. But I don't want to rant on that too much. I don't want to get you guys down on school. My wife's a teacher. I have a certain feeling, and it's probably related to all the bad teachers I had in my life, but that's where I'm at. I love your idea, though, of rediscovering your goals, and it sounds like you're a little bit of an older person. You have a grandson, and this goes to show you don't have to have your goals figured out. You can figure them out whenever you want, and I think you can do it. Next one from is the Awakened Builder. Life goal for me would be have my own house. Lots of people want to have their own house. Have my own personal space, having something that expresses my interest and personal taste. I like that reasoning. I think getting used to those things will help with moving on to the next step of my life, with getting familiar with real-world processes and having confidence with looking for a partner. Well written, my friend. Wow. So you'd like to have a house that you can be yourself in, and then that gives you the confidence to then take it to the next level with looking for someone. Hey, why not? I think that's cool. I apologize if I'm just like, hey, I think that's cool. Sometimes it's hard to know what to say to your comments. Maybe I should just be reading them, but I like to give my little feedback. You don't want me to just read it and move on, right? Hopefully not. Hamish says, I love that name for some reason. One thing that would make my life easier is if I went to a psychologist or a well-being team to help with my mental well-being. So I'm not as stressed about that as well as my schoolwork. I'm 17 and not sure where I want to go in life. My dream would be acting or voice acting. There is a Lego store up the road for me, so maybe that's a possible future pathway I could follow. Not going to lie, I would love to work there full-time when I finish school. Hey, why not? Become a full-time Lego employee, work on your voice acting, make some videos on it. In fact, if you wanted to, I know you said about having a psychologist. Have you ever considered just having like a journal or like an audio journal or a podcast like this where you just talk about how you're feeling and stuff? For me, this is like super beneficial. Like I just like to come down here and like get everything out of my brain that's like circulating around in there each week. It's nice that people are interested in that. It's good. It's nice hearing that feedback. Maybe if you're going through some things, you don't want to put that out there to the world. Not saying that you'd have to put it on YouTube, but just like have a journal or something. And I think that could really go a long way. But if you're at a point where your mental wellness is at a point where you need to see a professional, don't hesitate in doing that because that could have a dramatic impact on your life. Next one comes from a Bastion of Bricks. Fantastic name. Love it. Fantastic name. I have to say, as someone who graduated high school a year ago now, I 100% agree with everything you had to say about primary school. At least in my small hometown, everyone arrived at the same time, ate at the same time, left at the same time, did everything, you guessed it, at the same time. Well written. There was a single pace that everyone had to follow. So while some kids were done 45 minutes ago and had nothing to do, the ones that fall behind got left in the dust. Classes were crammed with busy work and assignments just to fill space. It certainly wasn't all bad, and there were creative and different classes towards the end of high school, but a majority of it was just as you described. I know this is a long comment, but something just spoke to me, and I figure I'd give my 2 cents. As a fellow creative guy who seemingly dislikes public school as much as you. P.S. Best of luck with remote schooling. It seems like you'll make a great teacher. Well, thank you, Bastion of Bricks, and my gosh, your grammar is on point. Your punctuation is stellar. Well done. I just appreciate that, but I love what you're saying there. I don't love what you're saying because it's sad but true. But I don't know what you do. I don't know how when you have a ton of kids, how you can make it work for all of them. I guess you just meet in the middle, and some kids are going to be out here and some are going to be here, and it's sad for these kids. But I guess the middle pack are the ones that kind of get the attention that they deserve and the time they need. But I don't know. Maybe that's where remote learning actually works, because like right now, Clark goes on his own pace. We don't have to sit there and wait for the kids to get done. Maybe this is the future. I don't know. Next one comes from HKR12. Sounds like a planet or something. One thing that would make my life easier would be a personal chef. Everyone in my family spends so much time making food. It would save so much time and give others time to do so many other things. I agree. I was thinking more about what would make my life easier. And I think what would make it really easy is if I never had to clean up after myself. I don't mind making the food. It's like, making it and eating it. It's when you're done and you look out and there's like stuff all over the kitchen that's the problem. If I just had like someone that could tidy up after me, that'd be amazing. But yeah, personal chef. Plus you get nutritious food and really delicious stuff. Oh, win. Next one. Oh, this is from Bastion Bricks again. I'm excited to read this just for that reason. Said one thing that would make my life easier is a wireless headset. So I'd stop chronically tugging at the wire and knocking it off my head onto my desk, and it knocks stuff on the desk over because it makes me look like the Three Stooges in one man. My life goal as someone who is in their first year of majoring in graphic design, I wish I would have taken that path at this point, is to finish my degree and get a job in a field where hopefully making my YouTube channel and the mocks, I make a little side business along the way. Looking forward to the next episode as always. You're a graphic designer. I should have known. I like graphic designers. Els says, "Hi, Greg. I totally understand your sentiment about school. I'm an art teacher in secondary school. I see it as kids are developing technical skills in order to express their creativity even more brilliantly." I like your thoughts on that. I see it as kids developing technical skills in order to express their creativity even more brilliantly. Maybe I need to start thinking about school and the classes that way. It's all about perspective, really. And that, unfortunately, that's your reality, whatever your perspective is. Next one comes from Walter Lewis. It says, "Hi, Greg. I'm 15. I love your channel. My goal is to do good in school and have a great family when I'm older like yours. Also, you seem like you'd be a really fun and cool teacher." I'm getting a lot of like people thinking I should be a teacher. I don't know, Walter. I don't know if I would make it as a teacher. I don't know if I would have a whole lot of patience for all the stuff that goes down with teaching, but I don't know. I think I could probably find a way. I would probably get really frustrated with the system, though. That'd be the one thing that would probably get me, is adapting to the system and somehow being okay with that. I don't think I could. I can teach Clark though and try to do the best job I can with there. He's the one kid that I feel like I need to teach in the world. But again, through these podcasts, maybe I can do a little bit there and try to give people hope, try to help you. Steven says, I hope that doesn't come off as like arrogant or bragging or anything. It's just a goal of mine that I would love to have an impact on somebody. Steven says, "Longtime viewer, first time commenting." I love that. I love the beginning of those ones because it feels like a radio station where you're like, "Hey, longtime listener, first time call in. I got back into Lego back in March at the age of 33, starting with the 89 Batmobile. Get it built, Greg. And having been hooked ever since, really helped me keep my mind active during Chima. My wife gave birth to our second son in March, and we have a 2-year-old as well, and Lego really helped give my mind something to focus on when I got some downtime. Seeing your interaction with Clark is what I want for myself and my sons Noah and Aiden when they're old enough to appreciate the joys of Lego RC cars and adventures. Please keep up with the great content here and on Greg's World." I'm going to get emotional here. Something that would make my life easier is to have something that motivates me to get more active again. I want to get out more during the weekdays, but work has been so busy lately that when I come home, I struggle. I want to do anything other than catch up with the kids. I'm starting to get out on my bike this weekend coming up, so hopefully that will spur me to get on the bike more. Dude, proud of you, man. Yeah, listen to my podcast while you're riding your bike if you can. There's a chicken walking past my window right now. I feel your pain though. Clark and I have just been going for walks. I don't know I guess you have a 2-year-old. It's a little young for that, I suppose. But getting on your bike and just having a little bit of downtime, I think could do wonders. But I love the way that you described Lego helping you in your life. I love the fact that me and you are kind of in the same boat here. And man, you're gonna love what's to come here with 2 years old, man. There's so many fun things coming up, and Lego RC cars, like you mentioned, adventures. Oh, cherish every moment, dude, because it goes fast. And this is coming from a dude that's just has a 5-year-old. I hear people that have 15-year-olds that tell me that, and I see it. So absorb every single one of those moments that you can and make the best of them. Good luck to you, man. Next one comes from Tap Tap Zip. This is my goal I'm building toward is getting the Lego collection I dream of. Mine is currently very messy, and I wish it wasn't overwhelming because I think I have a lot of boxes and unorganized. I wonder, does that happen to you, Greg? Can you give me an advice? Yeah, I'm extremely unorganized for a very long time and still am somewhat, but I've been getting better. My advice is just to start small. Get that like one thing that you want done today, and then don't worry about anything else. And tomorrow, get that other little thing, and you'll find that time and pressure can pretty much solve all your problems if you just get that little bit started. It's nice having a live studio audience here with this chicken walking by. I see just she's supposed to be in the backyard in the fence. Simon has our next comment here. He says, a thing that can make my life better, to earn money by myself so my Lego minifinger collection can improve. My life goal is to become a Lego minifinger designer or to be a zoo biologist. I like those two ends of the spectrum. You're either going to be a minifig collector or a zoo biologist. I'd say both of those equally successful. Greatest chance of getting them, probably minifig collector. Although, it doesn't require any schooling, so that's why I would take that. But you can do both. This one comes from Mateo. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Mateo Hans. It says, new laptop would make my life better because rendering videos I edit for others take 8 to 10 hours, and I can't play games with my friends because my current laptop is outdated and I can't support newer games. Also, spending time. I also spend much time on my laptop because I'm an introvert, so it drastically improved my life. My goal since I was 5 is to go to the USA. We used to watch documentaries in school, and I always dreamed of going there. Never felt like I belong in my own country. I think a lot of Americans take what they have for granted. It truly seems like the land of opportunities and dreams. Can't even get a visa to visit because I don't own property as insurance of my return. Wow. My other goal is to land some kind of job which will sponsor my future Lego review channel and then Bricklink store and improve my collection, eventually land me house and property in the future. What a fantastic goal. And I love your view of America and the United States, because we watch so many things, I think, on cable news that make us feel like, at least here in the United States, maybe you guys can relate to this, that feels like things are bad and we live in like this terrible area or whatever. And that's not the truth. We have a lot of opportunities. We're dealing with a lot of struggles here as well, both physically with Chima and then like a lot of social things as well. But I think we're working towards getting those things resolved, hopefully. I know it's going to take a long time, but I think we're getting there. And I agree with what you're saying. Like, I'm very, very happy to live where I live, and I love the opportunities that living in this time and place in these days has afforded me. Next one comes from Slider D. So school is important for some things, but not for others. It helps you grow your knowledge, but also trains you to be an employee. I feel like school should be more independent. Instead of a specific project like that, they should say, draw who you are. Kids should never lose their personality, but school is causing that. Sorry for the long comment. Congrats on getting to episode 50. Yeah, I see other people have the same sentiment as me, but I think there's other people out there that feel a little differently. So I think it's good to see both ends of it. Fantasy Brick says, for me, about what would make life easier would be an extra room with shelves because I don't have a ton of space to display things. And I think every Lego collector can relate to that one. Next one comes from Lizard Eggnog. Good name. It says, this year is my first year of college. Unfortunately, my senior year of high school was cut short, like many others. I missed out on a lot of memories, but no, I'll make even more memories in college. My life goal is to be a mechanical engineer. Ever since I can remember, I've been playing with Legos and creating cars and buildings. I love designing new things that are practical and benefit people. The college I'm at right now has a 2-year engineering field, so I plan on transferring to another school to continue my studies. I know lots of determination is required for this degree. If I apply myself to the best of my ability, I know that anything is possible. Oh my gosh, that was getting me emotional. I'm destined to tear up here, but I love someone that just gets it. Like, you understand that where you want to go, which is fine if you don't, but like knowing that you're going to have to work hard to do it and you got your plan laid out, proud of you, man. Way to go, Lizard Eggnog. Next one is from Haas261. It says, hey, Greg, I've been a weekly listener to this podcast ever since the beginning, and I have been watching the majority of your videos for almost 4 years now. And while listening to today's podcast, when you're talking about you and Clark's experience with online learning, it made me think about my own experience, and I thought you might be interested. So for the past 2 years, I've been living in Thailand. However, I'm from England. By the way, I love bricks and Brits. As a lot of the things you talked about are very relatable, especially Kraggle's quiz. I have been going to an international school here in Thailand for the past 2 years, and last week I started at year 10, which is American equivalent of year 9. Plus, I just started high school and was interesting, So how? Wait, I'm butchering this. It was interesting. So how even though my experience with online learning was slightly different to Clark's, in retrospect, it's actually very similar. For instance, the spike in COVID cases for Thailand was around April time. Therefore, we in fact, started online learning in March, and we did it all the way through to July when we had a summer break. Although instead of using Zoom for classes, our school used something called Google Classroom, which I think is much better than Zoom and is supposedly much safer for kids as it leaks less private information, but much safer in terms of privacy. And also coincides really well with Google Docs and Google Sheets. However, now the occurrence of COVID cases is very low in Thailand, so last week we all went back to school. However, very similar to what you said, we have to wear masks all times except lunch. And all the tables in class have to be a meter away from each other. Furthermore, the school implemented a one-way system to prevent interaction while walking around the school. Last but not least, I'd like to say how grateful I am for putting out such great daily content and caring for us fellow brickitectors as much as you do. And don't forget, keep doing what you love and enjoy and make the most of every day. By the way, sorry for any spelling errors. Extremely well written. I'm sorry that I butchered parts of that, but I found that fascinating to read what someone in Thailand is experiencing. Really interesting. The fact that you guys are pretty much have this whole thing solved and you're going back to school and you're implementing the things you are, I think is very, very interesting. And I kind of wish we were at the point that you're at right now, but good luck to school in you in school in Thailand. And thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you sticking with us for 4 years. Dang. And I appreciate you listening to the podcast. Haz. LBO7 Productions has our next comment. It says, this is my second week of school. I always need to wear a mask with the exception of when I'm sitting and if I'm far away enough from someone else. The thing that could make my life better is a clean room. That could save me a lot of time and a good sleeping schedule. Nice podcast, Greg. Listening to this in art lesson. Dude, you got that. You got these goals accomplished. A clean room. You could have this done by the time I'm done with this podcast. And a sleeping schedule. Put yourself in bed at a certain time. Turn everything off. Nothing. You'll fall asleep and then you'll get up earlier the next day. You got this. Next one is from Lego with Chess and Kieran. It says, I'm a year behind you, Greg. I'm a stay-at-home dad with a 4-year-old boy, and we have a Lego channel. I'm concerned that things will never go back to the way they were, and this is the new normal. One thing that would make my life easier, a vaccine so my son could go back to daycare and see his friends. Dang, this one resonated with me a little bit. I do worry, especially how long this is going to be the norm. And if we will ever eradicate this. I know a vaccine is coming, but then you think about, is anyone actually going to take the vaccine? Because there's a lot of people that aren't. And then there's people that would ordinarily take vaccines, but are going to be hesitant to take this because it's so new and maybe not tested thoroughly enough. So even when a vaccine comes out, will there be enough people that take the vaccine that actually makes it safe for us? Or are they going to force people to take the vaccine? Hey, you want to go to the airport? I need to see your vaccination papers. You want to go to school? Vaccination papers. It's pretty much how it is now. You want to go to work in customer service at Subway? We need to see your vaccination papers. It could be all these things. You might even need to present it to go into certain buildings. It could be, that's the way it could be. So I don't know. This kind of worries me a little bit, but dude, I don't know. I agree with you though. Vaccine this so my son could go back to daycare and see his friends. I wish Clarky was able to have some buddies. I thought this was going to be the year. But we're at where we're at, and there's not much we can do about it other than make the best of it. We do have another comment here, though. Several more comments. This one is from, what is the name? Fertile Nerd? I think I got that right. Hey, Greg. I'm 15, and last week my entire school went back for the new year. I think it's really interesting what you guys are doing with online learning, and although I agree with what you said about the creative thing and timing limitations of online school, you want to be purple. If you want to be purple, there's nothing that should stop you. I don't know if it's a good idea to skip ahead. In my experience, something difficult always crops up, and it's best to be there to ask questions. This is good stuff. That being said, Clark seems very adaptive when time calls for it. In terms of a life goal, I want to be a Lego designer someday, although there's no Lego store in my country, so there's no easy first step. Something that would make my life easier is simply if American stores were in my country. It's so annoying that a Transformers, a Lego collector, that I have to go on eBay to pay ridiculous prices just to get a Walmart exclusive. Great podcast as always from Douglas. Douglas, you're a Transformer and Lego detector, just like us, eh? I like that. I think you bring up a good point. So that's why we're going to be tentative here with this Clark doing his own thing and see how it goes. I do like your goal, though, of being a Lego designer. I see that coming up a lot. That's what I wanted to do as a kid, too. I was like, dude, Lego designer would be my number one job, until I found out that I could be a Lego YouTuber, which is, I think even better. But yeah, those exclusives, I feel bad for that. When something comes out in a certain place, you can't get it, because it happens to us occasionally, and I'm like, darn it. But thank you for commenting, Douglas. Thank you for the kind words there, sir. Next one is from Bricking Outside the Box. It says, one thing that could have made my life better, not as much easier, is to spend less time with technology. I know you guys feel this one. It can be very easy to put something on while doing everyday things. So being able to spend less time would be really good. Yeah. Technology. Mrs. Brickitect talks about it, how the kids are obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. You're probably obsessed with it. How often are you checking Instagram or YouTube or Reddit or whatever social platforms you're on? Probably more often than what you'd like to be. And I'm there. So maybe we should all make that our goal. Next one is from Anne. Anne is the new Patreon detector this week. So Anne, thank you not only for joining us on Patreon, which if you'd like to join us, I'll put a pitch out there. Why not? You can become a part of our community. We do live streams every Tuesday at Lunch and Lego, and every Friday night, the Patreon only live stream. Anne has joined us this week, and she says, I'm a first timer here, and I love what I'm seeing and feeling. I hope to start my own channel focused on Lego for beginners. I'm new to Lego and have found ways to find what I'm interested in by watching YouTubers like you and Clark. I'd like to share what I learn and find so others may begin to a lifelong love of Lego and the Lego community. As for what would make my life easier, I need to live in a space that affords me more room to do things in. My Legoing is on hold now because I don't have the space to build, play with, or display. I'm in the process of looking for a new place to live. Sorry for the long comment. Looking forward to the next installment. No problem at all. I'm sorry that I struggle to read that, and sometimes my eyes are going batty at this point reading all these. But Anne, hope you find your new place. Thank you for joining us on Patreon. I know a great time each week for you to start building stuff, and that would be Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. But I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you further about your YouTube channel. Maybe I can give you some advice if you need it. But once you find your place and are able to start building, one thing I would recommend is just find a place where you can have a table, and if you can have a bookshelf. That's pretty much all you need to start with. And you can do that in a pretty small space, I think. This next one or two is from Christopher. He did back-to-back comments, so I put him in the same one here. Christopher says, I'm almost 17 and I feel like I have my life goals down already. When I graduate high school, I want to go to college to study to be an English teacher. However, something you have inspired me to do was to share my passion with Lego with my future kid. I think creating that bond with them early is something really special that only certain people can do. Keep up the good work. I think it's a great idea. I don't think it's something only certain people can do. I think anyone that's a parent out there, if you have an interest in something, or if your child has an interest in something, try to go all in with them. Like, I didn't have any interest in Thomas, but Clark, he was into it, so I was into it. Monster trucks, I became a monster truck collector. You name it, whatever he's into, that becomes me. Transformers is now a thing that I'm getting into. Power Rangers is on the horizon. Like, there's all these things, and I'm there to back him. And Lego is kind of my thing. He does that with me more than anything, I guess, but he's into it as well with the Minecraft stuff. And then playing Minecraft, it doesn't take a lot to spend time with your kid. And if you're a parent out there and you're listening to this, just do it. Just put a little time into him. It makes such a huge difference. Chris also goes on to say, my heart goes out to you and Clark. Greg, seriously, it's tough. I'm going into junior year and doing the hybrid model. To me, kindergarten was the most crucial year and the funnest and best year. Plus, I had the most amazing teacher ever who I still keep in contact with to this day. Love you, Mrs. J. But I know you'll get through this, and with Clark, and everything will be all right. As someone who wants to bond through Lego with my future son/daughter, this just gives you more time to spend with him. Absolutely true. He's an awesome kid, and I know you'll be fine. Keep up the great work. Good points. Very good points. And I am happy to have this year. It's a blessing. I said that last week, and I say it again. Next one comes from Ryan. It says, today is my first day of school. I still have this chicken out here. It's very distracting. I thought I would be probably best to give you my thoughts. Okay, here we got a negative one. Prep yourself. It was terrible. Virtual learning is so bad. It generally makes me want to give up on school overall. Before I say anything else, I'm a junior in high school. Don't give up on school. You've already done like 90% of the work. Just make it through. What made school so terrible? The fact that schoolwork is beyond outrageous. For example, in my gym class, my teacher expects us to work out in our bedrooms live on Google Meet. They want to do yoga, jog in place, lift weights, etc. for 50 minutes live in front of the entire class. I'm with you on this. I wouldn't want to do yoga in front of my entire class. To make things worse, they want us to sit in front of a laptop screen 7 hours a day with our webcam on. Plus, there's still homework, and top everything off, a lot of work I'm getting. And to top everything off, a lot of the work I'm getting is busy work. I'm taking architecture and engineering class. Both classes require special equipment and software, none of which the students have. Lastly, a lot of my teachers just started class off as if nothing ever happened. The first day of school, I received 3 rather large assignments and 2 smaller things, all due tomorrow. I know this is a very long rant, but you did want some opinions from your viewers. P.S. We have to ask for permission to use our own bathroom. P.P.S. if this was all from a public school system, not private. So there you go, guys. That's someone deep in the trenches in school. I hate to bring forward this narrative where school is bad or online school is bad, but man, like that, everything you said there, I completely understand. Like the whole yoga in front of the class thing, I'd rather not sit in front of a laptop for 7 hours. That's not good for anybody. Even though a lot of us continue to do that, and you probably maybe even did that while you're off over the summer. Not good to sit there on like all that screen time with that on your eyes. And then, yeah, use your own bathroom. Why can't you just go on mute and disappear for a second and then come back? I don't get it. It seems like the teachers are trying to grasp at what was normal, but that's not normal anymore. These teachers need to adapt. Just my opinion. But you asked for my opinion. At least I hope so. GT Animations comes with the next one. Says, I really want to be a musician that makes downtime Earth. Oh, wait. I really want to be a musician that makes downtime Earth very real. Rap/emo rock kind of music. Is that a thing? Downtime Earth, very real rap/emo rock kind of music. I think I'm too old to understand that. I've always wanted to be a musician for as long as I can remember, and now I'm 17. I can chase that dream. Chase it, man. You do whatever that is, and let me know when your single's out on iTunes or Apple Music. Next two is from ZG Brick Films. It says, to answer your two questions, I think I can make my life easier by actually reading my textbooks when I'm supposed to for school. As a college student, I really don't do that and have to cram whenever there's a test. As for my life goals, I have a lot, but only share one Lego goal, which is that I'd love to reach 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel and become an influential member of the Lego community. I think this kind of comes down to scheduling too, what you're talking about. Want to read when I'm supposed to? Scheduling, planner. We got the suggestion on what we could do from our earlier comment. Just get a planner. ZG Brick and follow it. He also says, great podcast, Greg. To answer your question, I've been back on campus for my second year of college, and we're doing mostly hybrid learning. Although it's different, I think it's important to realize the value of it. This is the opposite of what we just read. For me personally, my mental health has been a lot better just being back on campus, on the campus environment, and being around friends, working on doing what I love. We've been having loads of fun safely. The school has only had 2 positive cases after 3 weeks, and it's been so beneficial to me being back. Although it's much different in Clark's case, I definitely think you should try letting him go a few days in October if you feel it's safe. Although all this stuff is new and different, it's ultimately still a school, and I think it's good for kids to physically be at school. I agree. On a Lego note, I got Diagon Alley today, and although I haven't built it yet, I definitely think you should get it at some point. It seems awesome. Oh, I'd love to. I have so much in the backlog right now, ZG. But, dude, I'm glad that you're enjoying being in school. You see a lot of these comments where the kids are like, oh, it's terrible, but your situation is that you're actually there. Maybe if you were doing it online, you'd feel differently, and it seems like you would because you're mentioning that I should have Clark go in. And maybe we will. If school's not shut down by like Thanksgiving or whatever, I'll be like, all right, let's go. But I think with as cases kind of pile up and such, I think that it's probably going to be the opposite of that. We do have a few more left here. Thank you all for still being here with me. The next one is from Easy Craftsman. I like that name too. He says, I have twin 8-year-olds who just started 3rd grade this week and a kindergartner as well. We're in a smaller district and decided to send them full time. I think you're right though. All it will take is one case in a school district or a neighboring one, since most teachers don't live in the district they teach in, which will result in sending class, grade level, or school home to self-quarantine or just full-time remote learning. It's a very tricky slope now. Hopefully all will go well. Either way, it sounds like Clark will have a great first year no matter what the situation. Good luck to you and your family. In terms of life goals, I'm in my late 30s, and years ago, I used to work in healthcare. The month after my twins were born, my employer outsourced most of my department to India, and I was out of a job. I decided to go back to school to pursue a career that I was passionate about as a kid, which was fueled by Lego at the time, but was not the right student for out of high school. Was not the right student out of high school. I get it. I entered into an architecture program and have been working in the field since 2015. I will be eligible to start taking exams in the middle of July 2022, and my goal is to be a licensed architect by 2025. You and hopefully my story will help kids and young adults to understand that it's okay not to know what you want to be at 18, like society and schools try to push. Yes! This is the comment that I was hoping to get next week, and I have it right here. The reality is it's never too late to make a decision. Just make sure you guys give it your best effort when you do, and hard work will eventually pay off. My gosh, that is such amazing advice. This is a guy, for you kids that are watching, if you're 16 years old, this is the guy who has twin 8-year-olds. He's in his late 30s, and he's just now getting ready to pursue his passion of becoming an architect. And he's not even there yet, but he knows that hard work is going to pay off, and he's going to get there. And he didn't have it figured out back then, but he has it figured out now, and he's 20 years older than you, probably, maybe more. You got time. You don't have to know now. Gosh, that's so good. I almost just want to end on that, but we do have 2 more left here. This next one is from Nathan's Bricks. One thing I'd like to add to my life would be time management. Boy, we're all in the same boat here. As I enter my first year of college life, I expect things to be very different from high school. These things would include loads of workloads that need to be done and many more. Stress is one of the enemies that I would be facing through my college life. But with time management, I believe I could balance things that I want to do. And of course, Lego with my studies. This could help me accomplish my life goal, which for now would be finishing 4 years of studying biomed, Bachelor of Science, biology major in medicine. You can get us a COVID cure, which is one of the steps I should take to accomplish my main life goal, which is to become a doctor. Nathan, wow. You guys are impressive. There's so many impressive people watching this. Like, I don't even feel like I'm on your guys' level at this point. We have one last one here from TJ Bricks. It says, Greg, my one of the week was being back at university with my girlfriend and having a goal for the future, which is to work in conservation of wildlife and do my bit to protect the planet and improve my life, would be better sleep schedule so I'm less tired when lectures start. And there you go. One more. I love the trend here, like seeing all these comments. I think there's a few things we can take away from this. We all need better schedules. We need to figure out how we can work our schedules in with our life and try to do things more efficiently and make time for the things that we want to do and find balance without things getting overwhelming. We've also learned that going back to school is kind of tough with remote learning. We'd all love to be there, and there's benefits to being in school, but we're all just kind of waiting it out to see how things go, whether school's going to continue on or not, but we're trying to adapt and make do with what we have. We've also learned that life goals can be varied, and you don't have to know what you want to do instantly when you're either in high school or getting out of high school, as evidenced by several of these people that are just figuring things out now or still don't have it figured out when you're a grandmother. Like, you have time to do all these things. And I think the important thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, is just trying to take the small steps. And I try to tell you guys this every week with your goals. Try to take small steps to get there. It doesn't even have to be anything big. Like, you want to have a good sleep schedule or whatever. Go to bed at a certain time. Turn the lights off, as I mentioned. You want to have your room cleaned up. Pick up one thing and put it where it's supposed to go. And that's all I have to do today. And the same thing is for like exercising. You want to become like a bodybuilder? Lift one weight today, one time. That's all you need to do. Come back tomorrow and do it twice. And it's just like compounding interest. These things will start building on each other. If you're trying to find that life goal and you're lost in the world, try to figure out what's interesting to you. What are those things that you could sit down and do for hours and get lost in? What's your YouTube viewing habits look like? What are the things that you're passionate about? If nothing, if there is nothing and you're 18, you don't know what you want to do in college, I don't recommend just going and spending the money to go there without having a plan. Get a job for a year. Try to do 3 jobs this year and just try to work in different places and see what you like. I mean, this is just my personal advice. I don't know if I should say this, but you don't have to follow my advice, of course. Like, I'm nobody to you probably, but I have some life experience just like some of these other guys do. And again, if you want to throw your comments out there, like if you're on either end of those spectrums, if you see somebody that's struggling as a kid and you're an adult, you can give them advice in the comment section here, or maybe we can make this a regular thing. I think we've probably got the whole life goals thing covered. So I'll leave next week open for you guys, whatever you want to talk about. I really enjoyed this. Like, I know, how long is this? This is probably longer than I anticipated. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're like an hour now almost. But I really love sitting down and hearing what you guys had to say and the things you're thinking about and the goals you have and the things that make your life easier and how you're feeling about school. Like, these are all things that I think we all have to go through in life. And it's nice to see other perspectives on it rather than just sit here and put mine out there, which is why I love the feedback that you guys give me. So for next week's episode, we'll see how much feedback this gets. I'm highly debating whether to break these into 2 episodes. So we'll do missing pieces on Sunday, and maybe we'll do a found pieces or something like on Wednesdays where there'll be 2 podcasts uploaded. I do fear that that's going to like really flood my YouTube channel. So maybe the Wednesday one would just be on podcast form only, so on Apple Podcast. But I do like having the viewer feedback in each episode, so it's something I'm kind of debating. But I really enjoy this. I love sitting down each Sunday sitting down here with you guys and just talking about what's ever on my heart, whether it's Lego or not Lego, and seeing what you guys are up to as well. It's really crazy, the community we have here, and I'm super thankful for all of you guys that watch it. It's wild to know that such a wide variety of people from all over the world are sitting down and listening to this or watching this, and I'm just super thankful for that. So before I get emotional here, I want to thank you guys all for watching this episode, especially if you made it all the way to the very end. Like, just crazy. If you want to support this podcast, first of all, you can leave some feedback for next week so we have something to talk about, because I think my life's going to start going more towards the same thing every week now. You can leave some feedback. You can leave a like in this video, obviously. You can join us on Patreon, which is a huge help for supporting this channel financially. And it's also cool because you get to become a part of our community over there. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And most of all, as I always say, you can just enjoy this every week, because that's my ultimate goal. So on that, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sitting through my terrible reading of your amazing comments. And we'll be back again with you in the next week's episode. So as always, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.